Alright, hello. So this is for to bring forth information about this major imprint right here and the three effects, all three pieces of how it's not working as intended based off of the description seen here. So you see Gunslinger major imprint, the set. First effect applies hollow point to the target. Hollow point lowers resistance to penetration and piercing by 0.9% for 8 seconds, stacks up to 10 times. So there's like one problem with this first effect, as it doesn't say what applies hollow point to the target. So I'm assuming all attacks apply hollow point to the target. Other than that, this effect works as shown here. Effect number 2 adds an additional hit, 200% attack power, targets hit by fire or wild shot. This works properly as well. Additional hits do not apply or stack hollow point. Yep, it does not. So that also works. Whenever you use fire, the cooldown of wild shot decreases by 1 second. This also works. So this entire effect, number 2 here, so 2 of these works as shown here. Now the third part is where I would say the biggest issue is, and that is that it generates an additional attack at 800% attack power whenever a target with hollow point is hit with a piercing attack. And additional attacks remove 1 stack of hollow point. So this doesn't work the way it says it does. So it generates this additional attack whenever a target with hollow point is hit with a piercing attack. That's the key part right here. So the target must have hollow point, and it has to be a piercing attack. Whereas a Psion, I'm a Psion, there are 4 piercing attacks. And only one of them seems to work. 3 of them do not work, but one of them seems to work. But it doesn't entirely work. I'll go into more of that in a second here. So let's go over the skills. This is what I have for the skills right now. This is what I'm currently using. So level 1 Bane Sword, 2 Fire, Phantom Blade 1, Saber Slash 4, Impale 4, Sword Abides level 4, Spinning Blades 4, Uber Edge 4, level 2 Blade Dance, level 3 Wild Shot, level 1 Psychic Vortex, 1 Death Blossom, level 4 XL Caliber. Yep, may not mute myself in time for that, sorry. And level 3 Psychic Storm. Now out of all of these, we're gonna go through each one. So you would see right here whether or not it's a piercing attack. So we go here, so this is slashing, fire out, this one's piercing, so this is a piercing attack. Nothing. Okay, so go down here, slashing, impale, this is a piercing attack. So this is your right click. And impale right here is you do your attacks and it generates these swords in the air that you can see in this video. This little preview. You see the swords all appear up there and then shoot into the target while you're attacking. So this is piercing, so we're gonna be coming back to that again. Uber Edge, this is your EX skill. When this bar fills up over here, you press tab by default and then you go into EX, and in the preview here you see that there's explosions the explosion attack power right here. So every attack you do creates an explosion, and each explosion does this amount of damage, well, has this much attack power, and then it's also piercing. So we are going to be looking at this attack as well. Blade Dance, Slashing, Wild Shot, Piercing. So this is the other piercing attack. Slashing, 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 and Slashing. So these are our 4 piercing attacks: Wild Shot, Uber Edge, Impale, and Fire. So come back here and we see whenever a target with hollow point is hit with a piercing attack. So according to this, all 4 of those skills will generate this additional attack as long as the enemy has hollow point. According to this. And that is not working, and I'm going to go into that now. So first, I'm going to remove all these major imprints to just show some of the numbers. So to see visually the additional attacks, I'm going to first show without the additional attacks, and then with the additional attacks. So first, I'm going to remove the weapon. Since I have a elemental charm on it, it will trigger that, and I don't want extra numbers and stuff to get in the way. So this is for clarity. It doesn't matter what enemy it is, but I'll just use this one. So I'm just going to use Fire. So this is one of the piercing attacks. Right click. You see the piercing damage is about 100,000 right there, and then you see Impale, which is the other piercing attack, which is the sword that appears. So the sword appears, that's Impale. So every time I hit fire, there's only 2 numbers that'll come up. So I have it on auto attack, so it went again. So there's a few attacks there. So to see, it generates. It's hard to see how many swords it's generating, but you can see there's like about 7, 8 numbers that pop up. So we're gonna compare that with the imprints. Let's see, get the just building the EX real quick. Alright. So EX. Right click, you can see the explosion added to each one. So there's 4 numbers that popped up that time. You saw that it popped up on the fire, and then you saw the number pop up again on the impale. So that's 4 numbers. So that's something to keep note of. Now I'm gonna So I'm gonna go back, put on the imprints, and now to show the problems with the imprints. Going back in, I will still not have the weapon equipped because that'll get in the way. Alright. So you can see now that there's a 3rd number that's doing about 1.2, 1.3 million damage. A little bit higher that time because I got like buffs up down here. Did I put the wrong? No, I didn't put the wrong one. It's just weird that it was labeled that way. That might be another problem. So you see the third number. So this is effect number 2 right here. That's working properly. I'm using fire. It does that additional 200% attack power hit. That also works. So I'm gonna use all wild shot right there, and you can see well, that part doesn't work either. So never mind. It says whenever you use fire, the cooldown of wild shot decreases by 1. So you see down here 4. I'm hitting fire right now, and you saw that it did not reduce by 1. It's not reducing. So that part is also wrong. See if you do this, and then let's see, use a skill, then use the alternate attack. So this is right here, fire level 2. Right click for a full ranged attack after using the skill. So you have to have this to get it to work. So you use this and right click immediately. It does that extra. It uses that alternate. It uses like an alternate variant of the skill with the level 2 fire. And you see with level 2 fire, you can see that the cooldown is reducing down here in the corner. It didn't reduce that time. It doesn't always seem to reduce. I think that might be another problem. So it's not always reducing the cooldown by 1 second every time fire is used. Okay, moving on to the third part. So piercing attacks. So we gotta apply a hollow point. You see the stacks right up here. Hollow point. It's this icon right here, up to 10. And let's see, I want to reset to get 3 stacks of wild shot. So got 10 stacks. So fire is a piercing attack, and you see it's the same 3 numbers, and it's not consuming any of the hollow point. It's not consuming hollow point. When you see it go down, that's because it's expiring. They only last for 8 seconds. But you don't see the 800% additional attack. That was with fire. And also impale. You see with impale as well. All your attacks create that sword that's also a piercing attack. And it's not generating. So now we go to wild shot here. So with wild shot, we should be seeing a fairly big number. The 200, see the 200% attack is the 1200 or the 1.2, 1.3 million. You can see right there, 1.1 million. It's that larger number, so that's the 200%. So we'll do wild shot here. Or my bad, I hit it again on accident. You see, we're not seeing any larger numbers than that, so it's not triggering with wild shot either. So now we'll go to this Uber Edge, get the stacks, Uber Edge, and it's not triggering. I'll try to do that again. Oh, it did not give me, not fill up. I'm gonna fill it up real quick. This will probably be faster. There we go. Now reset. Alright, so reg using fire only. Oh, whoops. There, hollow point. You see that it's not consuming any, so it's not triggering. So it's not triggering with that either. So all 4 of the piercing attacks so far have not triggered that 800% attack power additional attack yet. But here's what I found. So this does, even though we've seen it the entire time, this does trigger it. But it only triggers off of the level 1 effect, which is this first effect right here. This is just having the skill. No additional levels, just this right here. So the impale forged swords that spawn off of Bane Sword, Phantom Blade, or Saber Slash, those are the only ones that would trigger that additional attack. Which I'm not sure if that's intended, but this is what I see to be a problem, because based off of the description, it does not, like, the description is very inaccurate. And even when I found out that Impale is the skill, it doesn't even trigger it besides those 3 skills. So right here, hold down the left mouse button manually. So here we go. Let's see. There we go. The swords, you see 10 stacks. None of them triggered it. Alright, I'm having. There we go. No big numbers. They're all about 400, 300,000. I think it will off. Why is it? There we go. It didn't trigger. Well, it didn't appear to trigger. Let's see. Try it again. So 9 stacks. Hit. All for about 300,000, and it didn't reduce. So that doesn't work. Sorry about that. Had to readjust my mouse. Go down to 3 right here. So it's seeing 50 combos. That's going to be really difficult to. So that didn't trigger it either. It didn't consume at 50. So even that didn't work. Go down here to level 4. When you land an attack, that's what we've been doing with all the other attacks. With fire, wild shot, and all of them. So we come in here, get the stacks, and hit with Bane Sword, our auto attack. You see the big number that's popping up. 7 million. And it's consuming stacks. So Bane Sword, just the swords forged off of Bane Sword. Actually, it might, from the looks of it, it might actually just be Bane Sword. It's kind of hard to see. I'll try Saber Slash. Oh, I need to build stacks. Alright, and then it's really hard to see. It's like really fast, but you can kind of see it's hard to tell of whether or not it's the sword, like the forged sword from Impale, or that's actually Bane, like Phantom Blade. Well, not Phantom Blade, Bane sword auto attack. It's hard to see. It appears that it's Bane's sword, so it's entirely wrong. So it's not a piercing attack at all. Like it looks like it's not a piercing attack at all that triggers that. Yeah, right here, generate additional attack whenever a target with hollow point is hit with a piercing attack. Piercing attack. And it seems that it's actually not any piercing attacks at all. It seems like it's Bane Sword, which is a slashing attack, Phantom Blade, another slashing attack, and Saber Slash. All three of these appear to that consumed a stack. So all three of those trigger that additional attack. But it looks like it's like I don't know if the sword is just instant. Like the forged sword, but it seems like on the attack itself. So before the forged sword even comes up. But I know that Bane sword I think generates a sword itself. Doesn't it? Oh, at higher levels. I don't have higher levels. So yeah, so this is my video showing I don't know what I found about this major imprint and rune set here, Gunslinger, and how it doesn't work as shown here. Like, the three skills seem to trigger this additional attack right away, but those three skills are attached to Impale, so it's the Impale forged swords, but not all forged swords from Impale. All the swords that are created from everything related to Impale, like all of that doesn't work. It seems to be just a level 1 effect. These three attacks right here, those trigger it, but it's hard to see if it like it seems it's just the skill itself that triggers, not actually Impale. And those are slashing skills. Impale is piercing. So I just wanted to show this that there's like lots of little problems here with this major imprints set here. I want to see if like what's actually intended, how it's supposed to actually work, because it's unclear. Because even this part right here, whenever you use fire, the cooldown of wild shot decreases by 1 second. This doesn't seem to always work, as I've shown. It's the alternate from level 2, so you have to have level 2 for that effect, imprint effect. But like there's nothing saying here, like, so you would just use fire, and if you don't have level 2 you will never see this, so that kind of sucks. But there's no way of knowing just from reading this. Also there's no way of knowing which skills actually apply hollow point, which I didn't go over that. So you see, Phantom Blade doesn't do it. Saber Slash doesn't do it. Spinning Blades, Blade Dance, Wild Shot does apply stacks. Wait for the stacks to disappear. Psychic Vortex do not apply stacks. That doesn't apply stacks either. Death Blossom does not apply any stacks. Excalibur does not apply any stacks. And Psychic Storm does not apply any stacks of hollow point. It's only Wild Shot. And I wanted to point that out, that in here it just says applies hollow point to the target. Like, it doesn't say what applies hollow point to the target. So based off of this, I assume hollow point, like any attack, will apply hollow point to the target. Based off of the second effect, every time I use fire, it doesn't matter which type of attack from fire, it just says fire. So according to this, it doesn't matter if I have level 2 or not, or level 4 or level 3. It doesn't matter what level I have fire. It says whenever you use fire, it doesn't say what level it needs to be, or whether it's the full ranged attack. It doesn't say if whenever you use the fire full ranged attack. It just says whenever you use fire. So that this doesn't always work as either. I've shown that it doesn't work when just using fire, and I've also shown that it doesn't always work when using the alternate fire as well, the full range fire from the level 2 effect of fire. And then the third effect, I've shown that it's the skills themselves. It seems like it's the skills themselves. Saber Slash, Phantom Blade, and your auto attack, also known as I forgot the name of it. Bane Sword. So Bane Sword, like all the 3 basic stuff from a level 1 Impale, or level 1 to level 3 Impale. Yes. So these 3 right here, these 3, Bane Sword, Phantom Blade, Saber Slash, these 3, I would say, like, I don't know. These 3 skills are the only ones that activate that attack, and it seems like the skill itself is activating it, not Impale. And I don't know if that's a separate problem on its own, but right now it's related to Impale, which is a piercing attack, so that makes it legit as far as the piercing attack goes, even though it doesn't state Impale as the piercing attack to use. But also, when you have level 4, when every attack is Impale, every attack creates a sword, then this should be able to trigger it a lot more often. And that's the problem that I find, is that it's not triggering as often because only these 3 skills trigger it. And it seems like the skill itself is triggering it, but it's hard to see that, as there's lots of swords and lots of numbers that pop up when using those skills. So it's very difficult to see if the sword from Impale, when using that skill, is what's doing that extra attack, or if it's the skill itself that is doing that extra attack. It seemed like it was the skill itself, but the forged sword could just be really fast. So so it's just very difficult to see. It's almost instant. When you create swords fast enough, it's instant. The sword's going into them, so it could be instantly generating that uh, generating that attack. But yeah, I wanted to show the problems with that, like from how this effect reads with a piercing attack. There's 4 different piercing attacks we have, and it doesn't matter what level we have. It shouldn't matter what level skill. Like I said, with Impale 4, every attack will have Impale swords. So this right here at level 4 should always, according to this description, should always generate this as long as the enemy has hollow point, and it's not doing that. So I've gone over each of the 3. Yeah. So I've shown all the attacks, the imprints, went through each one, explaining what I found wrong with each one. And now some of them that I thought worked did not work as well as I thought it would have. Like I originally thought this second effect was actually good, but I found out during this that fire doesn't always reduce it by 1 second. And that it's only the level 2 fire, which is the full range attack after using the skill. That is the only way to decrease the cooldown, and yeah, it's just a lot of clarification needs to happen on all 3 of these effects, and I'm not even sure how the other ones are. I do not have, as seen here, I do not have all the rest of them, so I can't do any tests to see how they work compared to what the description says, because I will be testing these and I may make another video. But this is all I have.